This is going to be fun. Hey, thanks for joining me. So I went to a garage sale the other day, and they had some odds and end cameras, and they had this table, and the lady said it's $5 an item or 5 for 20. There's $4 an item if you bought 5 of them. And I bought a Minolta SR101 with a Tamron zoom on it, and I bought an antique Ballora tripod, and there's some other odds and ends stuff, a waist level finder for an Exacta, and I bought some expired film. And then I went further back in the garage sale. It was actually inside a building, so it really wasn't in a garage. But I saw this box, and I kind of knew what it was, but I couldn't imagine for $40 that I was going to get a camera like this. So I asked the lady, I'm like, is this really just $40? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm buying that too. So in this box was the Horizon camera, still in its, let me get this out of here, still in its box. And there's instructions and papers, and there's there's like a big poster that has a parts breakdown of the camera and all that stuff. I'm not gonna drag all that out, but original box for the camera, and camera came with a case. It's not really leather, but it's a nicely made case that it fits in, and the camera itself. And so this is a Horizon Kompakt, and the Kompakt is the lowest end, cheapest version of this camera. Now this has a 28 millimeter lens. You can probably see there's a lens hiding up in there. And it's 28 millimeter, and it's set at a fixed aperture of f8 on this version. Now, there are other versions. There's the Perfect, which I think you get a wider range of shutter speeds and maybe even some additional aperture settings. This one literally has 2 shutter speeds. There's a lever right here. You can switch between a 60th of a second, which is what you saw at the opening of this, and a half second. So that's a pretty big jump. At a half second, if you switch this over, the actual exposure takes about 4 seconds, because while this image is wiping across the film and exposing each segment of the film for half a second, the entire thing takes about 4 seconds. So, this thing's got to be held still for a while. The dumb thing is there's no tripod socket on it. So, not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I think I could double stick tape something on here, like maybe a Arca Swiss plate or something I could double stick on here so I can put it on a tripod. That's probably what I'll do to use it for that. These are really a unique camera. I haven't had a chance to ever play with, well, that's not entirely true. You can see the film plane is curved. So you put your cassette of film over here, and it goes under a roller right here, and then over this curved film plane and under the sprocket roller, and then over here to the take-up spool. And so it's a curved, a curved film plane. And as this thing takes a picture, it literally wipes the image across the film like that. And you can actually see when I cock it that this slit is closed, but then when it fires, it's open. Pretty ingenious little mechanism. So when I say I haven't had one of these, I haven't had one of these, a Horizon. But back in the 90s, when I had a camera repair business, the local newspaper here, the Oklahoma Publishing Company, Daily Oklahoman, they called me one day and they said, we got a whole bunch of old cameras, and we were thinking about selling them so we could get some money maybe to buy something else, and I want you to come look. So I went down to their office downtown here, and they had a bunch of old Nikon Fs. They had, I think there was a Pentacon 6, the medium format camera. There was all kinds of other odds and ends things. Amongst everything, though, there was not a Horizon, but a Horizont. It's like the same name, but has a T at the end of it. And it's a smaller, all-metal camera with a viewfinder that sits offset to one side. And it's basically the same kind of thing. Got a 28 millimeter lens, and it's got a wider range of shutter speeds and apertures. and it does the same thing, but it's a earlier version. Obviously, this is, obviously got a plastic shell on it. The frame inside is metal. The parts are all kind of bigger, and it's made to be easier to manufacture, I'm sure. So it's not as compact as the original, despite its name compact. Not as compact as the original Horizon versus a Horizon, or however you pronounce this. But so I did have one of those, and my brother and I actually, we ended up buying all these cameras. I told the people at the Oklahoma Publishing Company, I said, if I take all these cameras and fix them up and make them work and sell them online, I'm thinking you might get around $5,000. That's kind of what I added up. And I said, if I'd go to all that effort to fix them, make them work, and sell them for you, I want at least half of that $5,000. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $1,500 right now for everything, and you're done. You get your money right away. It doesn't dribble in as I sell these things. You can just have $1,500. And they took that. They went down to their accountant. The accountant said, yeah, all this stuff was written off years ago, so it's like free money. Take it. So I wrote them a check for $1,500 and took all this stuff home. It was kind of a crazy story, too. I got all this stuff on a Wednesday. There was a camera show in Dallas on Saturday, and I stayed up for 2 days fixing and going through these cameras, and took them down to the Dallas camera show and made a lot of money. It was a fun time. But anyway, the Horizon my brother wanted really bad, and so he ended up with it, and he never did want to turn loose of it. So I got to shoot like one roll through it, and then it was gone. So anyway, really cool to find this. So I'm going to take this out this morning and shoot some pictures, and then process the film, and you'll be able to see what those look like. It should be a lot of fun. I have like a pinhole camera that does a 6x12 panoramic, which is a 2-to-1 ratio. This one makes a 24 millimeter, wide by 58 millimeter long image, which is, I forget the exact ratio, but it's a little bit more than 2-to-1. So it's a nice wide image. The viewfinder on this thing, you can see how wide the viewfinder is. When you look through this thing, it sees 120 degrees across, and being a 28 millimeter lens, it's the same view vertically that you would get from a 28 millimeter wide angle lens. So it's a pretty broad view, and this is similar in terms of what it does, not quality of course, to a wide lux. And so with 120 degrees, there was a camera museum or a photography museum here in Oklahoma City that's moved to St. Louis now, but they had a show there they did where a photographer took 3 wide luxes, mounted them in a triangle, so each one shooting a picture at the same time, you got 360 degrees, the images. So they had these 360 degree, the way they had the images displayed, you actually had to stand in the middle of a circle and look around you at the 360 degree image. It was pretty cool. I know there's some spinner cameras that do that the camera spins and the film advances and it makes a 360 degree image all at one time. But anyway, so panoramic cameras are kind of fun to play with, and so I'm gonna take this out and do some shooting with it. It should be a lot of fun. Probably not something I would spend the normal money to buy one of these. I'm not sure what the status of these is now. I see them on the Lomography's website. They're showing out of stock. And I noticed the prices on eBay are as high as the new prices used to be, or close to it. So I'm not sure what the, with the situation with Russia and all that right now, I'm not sure what the availability of these are. These are made in Russia. So I was really blessed to find this for $40. I couldn't believe that, I got it that cheap, but it'll be fun to play with, and should be fun to see the images. Anyway, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna shoot some of the film I bought. There was a few rolls of Delta 100 in 36 exposure, ISO 100. So I'm gonna take one of these rolls of Delta 100, and it's expired, but I'm gonna use it to shoot my test with, see how that turns out. Let me get this thing loaded up, and we'll go out and take some pictures and let you take a look at those. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of those images from this Horizon Kompakt camera. As you can tell from the pictures, I decided to not stay downtown. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling, I don't know, I've taken so many pictures downtown, I just really wasn't feeling anything about downtown. So I came out here to Lake Overholser. It's one of my favorite places. It's got that beautiful old dam and lots of really interesting things here, and there's an old bridge. And anyway, so I hope you enjoyed seeing some of those pictures. This has been a lot of fun to use. I never had a camera quite like this. Well, like I said earlier, I did have one for a brief period of time, long time ago. So this has been kind of fun. A couple of things I did kind of notice about it. I did not use, I have some, as strange as it seems, there's actually some filters you can get in here. The camera comes with a yellow-green filter and a UV filter. I don't see much point in, well, maybe the UV, but the yellow-green, I didn't use it this time. I think I will next time just to see what it does with skies. I just really kind of wanted to see what the camera did without anything added. Couple of things I've noticed about this, though. Of course, you do have to hold it to keep your fingers out of the way, but just carrying the camera and hanging on to it, it does have some strap lugs, I guess you'd call them, there where you can put a strap through it. It's probably a good idea. I used the case and just wore the case around my neck and put the camera back in the case. But on a cold winter day, this thing is kind of slick to hold on to. I think I might, I don't know, I hate to deface it, some grip tape or something on here would be nice, because it's a little hard to hang on to when your hands are cold. Maybe easier in the summer. But you got to get your eye right up to the viewfinder to see the full width, so I take my glasses off. That was no big deal. One thing I did notice is that when you wind it and it stops at the next frame, just the action of putting it in the case, if you just touch the button, even though it's not cocked, if you touch the button, it'll unlock it to wind, and then, you know, you're not sure if you wound or not, so you wind again. I know I ended up wasting a few frames, probably 3 or 4 frames out of the whole roll. So I think it's real important to probably establish a process where you either don't wind the camera until you're ready to shoot, or you wind it every time, and then even if you've touched the button, don't even check it, just cock it and shoot a picture. You know, I guess the question is what'll be the least likely to create accidental double exposures. So if you use one of these, you probably have to create some processes that you use every time. Anyway, just a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing those pictures. I'm definitely going to be taking this thing out. I've been kind of thinking about other places I could go to shoot. And I'm definitely, you know, I don't do a lot of color in terms of film, but I saw a couple of places. One of them is an old, I say old, it's a real colorful tiki bar on the way to this lake. It's got a lot of really beautiful colors and stuff. And so I you know, I don't know if I'll take a picture of that necessarily, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of subjects, especially it being fall right now, that would really look pretty in color. So definitely going to have to get some color film and give that a shot and see what some of those look like. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed seeing some of those images. If you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching.